lot of people experience, and there's ways to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, even like sitting down, having some minutes to yourself. I'm a great thinker, but when somebody introduced me to meditation, it changed my life.
Wow.
You know
meditate every day?
Every day.
How long?
Sometimes 30, sometimes an hour.
Really?
Yeah. Every day.
And it's changed. How's that changed your life?
Clarity. I'm leading people. I run a company. Like I gotta have clarity. I'm making decisions that are gonna affect people's lives, their children's lives, their livelihood, right? And then at the same time, I'm leading men. I'm out here and I'm pushing the cause. And it's just like the one thing I can say about karma, that I say karma is real. When I wasn't in my right mind, I was leading people off a cliff. I had to pay for that. I had to pay for that. Oh, it was a time in my life I was losing. When I say losing, I mean losing. When I say losing, like you wouldn't believe. I prayed every day, like just please punish me for how long you want to punish me. But when you let me back out of this, I'm gonna be the way I'm supposed to be.
The Touré Show. Okay, though. The Touré Show. Okay, though.
That might be the best question I've ever been asked.
You're a phenomenal person. I mean, you legendary.
I am a fan of you, my brother.
Jeezy, one of the great rappers of his time. He's got a book, Adversity for Sale. We get into meditation, how he changed his life, therapy, how he repaired his relationship with his son, the street life, the rap career, all this stuff. It's an amazing conversation. Let's get into it. It's Jeezy on Touré Show. So, congrats on the book.
Yes.
Adversity for Sale.
Yes, yes.
The book is primarily about how you made it, how you made money, how you came up out of the street, how you made money in the street, how you made money in the industry.
Well, I would say not just made it, how I failed, right? And how I learned.
Okay.
Because the success part, I'm still trying to get there. If I'm honest.
Okay.
Yeah, because
But
my
I
level.
appreciate that you're like, let me talk about my failures.
Right.
Because that's what a lot of people,
Right.
especially MCs, you're like, yo, everything is great.
And it's not.
You know? And I appreciate you want to talk about the mistakes, the mishaps, the failures.
Well, let's just say, even my mentors from John Maxwell to T.D. Jakes to any of these guys, Steve Harvey's to Robert Greene, any of these guys I sit down with, my first 7 questions is like, how did you feel? Like, tell me about your failures. What happened when this happened? Because that's what I want to know. I mean, you're successful. We know that, right?
Yeah.
But how did you feel?
Yeah.
And it's like if you're trying to open up a restaurant or open up a business, if you see somebody that has a successful business, you might want to get that model, but you also want to know what they failed at.
Yes.
So when you're going into it, you have an understanding of what you're walking into and then what might needs to happen if things start to go left.
So tell us about some of your failures.
Oh man, so many. Well, I started off young, in the streets, right?
I mean, the first thing in the book, you're like, I was a thief. I was a kid.
I did. I got best dressed on bass for like 2 years straight. I was tearing their ass up, boy. When like polos was out, polos in the khaki with the boots, the duck heads, with the water boots, and then like when Cross Colors came out with the Jodeci boots.
Yeah.
I had to do what I had to do. You know what I'm saying?
So tell me about a big failure that you learned from.
Failure that I learned from, I would say, I mean, there's so many. Like in my adulthood, I would say that a lot of the stuff that I experienced when I was young, I swept it under the rug, right? And then when I got to my adulthood, I was doing things and acting out, and things were triggering me that I didn't understand why. So even as a father, I didn't connect with my son the way I should have because my emotions were not really there. You know what I'm saying? Because of my childhood. And I would say that was one of my biggest failures. You know what I'm saying? Because, that's a real thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're raising another man, you got to be able to, show him a different type of love and type of understanding.
Because your father wasn't there.
Well, my father wasn't there because my parents got divorced, and then I had to move back to the hood because I was living abroad. I was living in, Japan, Hawaii. I had a different life. My palate was different. Like I was eating sushi. Like I knew about a lot of things. So now it was like punishment to go back to the hood, right? Because it was cool to go there to visit, but now I'm living there, right? And I'm with my mom, and she's upset with me because I look like my dad, so I'm going through that. My dad is still, he's still active service, so he's doing his thing. He didn't do nothing to me wrong now, but he even understands that when he was active service, he wasn't there. It wasn't that he was in prison, it was that he was working. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of things that we didn't have, that we father and son, things that didn't happen, so that slipped my generation, and it almost slipped with my sons because there's a lot of things me and my dad didn't talk about, right? Which is why I looked into Pac and all these other people, because to me, they were like the leaders.
Right.
Like my uncles and people that I would respect were either selling drugs or worked at factories. So it's just like, them your two options. I'm gonna go with option A. You know what I'm saying? Because it seems more lucrative. And, a lot of my childhood was me trying to prove to myself that I was enough, right? Because I'm in a position where I'm not really, sure, right, of which path I should be taking, because now I'm put in this situation that I know that there's a different life out there. And I'm trying to explain to the people I'm going to school with and my cousins, like there's beaches and sand and palm trees and other type of people, you know what I'm saying? More than us, and it's just like now you're just sitting here and this is your reality. So a lot of my childhood, I was trying to figure out how to get back to what I knew, because I felt like, I was detached from something. I was taken away from something, right? And not that I didn't want to be where my grandmother was. It was just I felt like I was out of place there. Because I knew so much more than my surroundings. Like I knew more, like naturally. I would sit down and have conversation with adults and give them advice. I'm a kid, But I started to learn early. I had leadership skills, and it was like when I first started listening to Tupac, I remember I was in boot camp and I heard Dear Mama and So Many Tears. I'm just like, yo, he's talking to me. I was in, and that's where I just started to get my knowledge from. Because it was like that was my podcast back then. Listen to the music. Now I'm learning. Now when I'm in certain situations, I know how to handle it, right? And going back to what I was saying before, my grandmother was the one, when I was living with her, was the one that made me go to church, read the Bible, have faith. So if my grandmother wasn't in the picture, I don't even know if I would have any faith. My parents never talked to me about faith.
Wow.
Right? And that's what kept me grounded, right? But then that's also what made me understand that as I started to come into adulthood and everything that I was already going through, I'm like, hold up, how am I the one that's like being unscathed? Like every time these situations come up, I'm losing friends, they dying left and right, people going to prison, this happening, that happening. It's like a whole thing. How did I never get caught doing what I was doing? And I just was there, and I was just like, I really have faith. Like I'm God-fearing for sure.
Wow.
But then I'm sitting here going, well, shit, maybe this is my purpose.
So wait, how old was you? Have you rectified the relationship with your son?
Yes.
So how old was he when you said, okay, let me change this? Because you said you felt a lot of guilt.
Right.
And you knew you were not doing the right thing.
Right.
Even as you continued to not do the right. So at some point you said, okay, enough of this.
Well, I'm going to keep it a buck. It's still a work in progress.
Sure.
Because he's a man now. So it's different. He's 26. So it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I have to respect his perspective. But all I can do is make sure that I'm there and I'm available and I'm present, right? And it's dope now because we have real conversations about, we both been through. My son was there. My son was born when I was still hustling. He was born in the projects. You know what I'm saying? Like his mom and all us, we lived in the projects, in a project apartment together, right? So he's seen all that. Same people I used to hustle and sell stuff to on Fridays was his babysitters.
Wow.
People that was keeping him that was on drugs when his mom went out to the club or whatever.
Right.
So he knows that life, right? And then I'm expecting to pull him out of that into this newfound success I have and for him to be a certain way. But I'm not being a good example because I'm out here living, what I'm telling him not to do. And he like, I don't understand that. So he's a natural born leader himself watching me lead, right? But now he's a natural born leader in a generation where it ain't the same how I was when I was, shaking and moving. It's like, he's in a generation where, we lost Tupac and Big.
Yeah.
They losing people right to left.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not even, it's normalized.
It's a lot, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like he looking at like, well, and it's a reality check for me. You know what I'm saying? Which is why even in the book, I'm hoping I can reach people like my son, reach people like, because I want them to understand like it's never too late to figure out who and what you are.
Wait, how old was he when you were like, okay, let's try to change this?
I would say, well, his mom, it was difficult because his mom had a boyfriend that she was with, and for some reason my son thought he had two fathers. So that hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Because he used to be like, I got two dads. I'm like, nah, I don't know about that. So me and his mom used to be at odds. And I kept telling her, let me get him because you can't raise him. And, he got it. I don't know if I should be saying this, but he did something, with one of her boyfriends that had some over their house or whatever. And he ran off with whatever. And the guy was like, I'm gonna do this to your son or whatever. So I had to call some homies from where I'm from, like, yo. And I told him, I said, yo, man, like, I don't got nothing to do with your business, but that's my child, right? And we gonna go broke about this, bro. Like, we gonna lose it all. So, and I had to convince his mom after that, like, let me get him, right? And now I'm getting, and not that I wouldn't spend time with him before, but now I'm getting him as an adult. And he's rebellious.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's better now. Like, he's at a great place now, a good kid. But then he was torn between two types of parenting. But then you got a kid trying to raise a kid. You know what I'm saying? I'm still a kid. I'm still running with 100 people. He come on my house, is all kind of contraband everywhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I remember one day we had a party at my crib because basically I had the whole neighborhood living with me. Like, my whole neighborhood was living in my house. And I remember we threw this big party. I don't know what it was for. And the police came. And they came because the neighbors called the police. And, it was criminals at my house. It was one of those type of things. And I was so scared, man, because I had just got him. You know what I'm saying? I had just got him. I just, and I was just like shook. And that really slowed me down too, because I'm like, yo, I don't want to take my son. You know what I'm saying? And that really slowed me down as well. But all of it is a work in progress, man, because we as black men, and I'm just speak on it, just like, we wasn't raised right. Our fathers weren't raised right. You know what I'm saying? Their fathers weren't raised right. And we all just trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully this book and anything I've ever done or said, you know what I'm saying? Because people look at it like, yo, you talked about selling drugs. I'm just telling you my reality, man. Like, I'm not trying to sell you something I'm not, right? Yeah. I'm just telling you my reality and how I made it out, right? And hopefully that inspires, somebody else who's walking that same path or not to do whatever it is they need to do so that they're able to get in a position where they can evolve as well, because that's the thing. It's just like, we're not told it's okay to evolve. We're told we're supposed to be a certain type of way. We're supposed to take everybody with us. We're supposed to keep it real till you can't keep it real no more, and then it's done.
It's interesting you referred to yourself as a kid when you're a man.
Right.
Because as far as I know, a lot of people, if you're in the street as a teenager, we would think of you as a man-child.
Right.
Because you got to grow up and be responsible and tough and a man. So were you not a man at that point?
I would say that I was a man, but I had a lot of childish ways. Because I had responsibilities, but I wasn't on point. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I had in my mind that I was going to jail, so I wasn't as close to my family as I should be, right? I wasn't taking care of myself. I was basically drinking from the time the sun came up to it went down, all I cared about was what I cared about, right? And I'm living this party rock star life, like I'm selling millions of records. I hadn't sold one. You know what I'm saying? I'm spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars every day. Like I'm not thinking about putting money away for my kids. I'm not doing none of this. You know what I'm saying? I'm just living day to day. Like you could probably ask me what date it was. I couldn't even tell you what month it was. That's how I was living. Like, I didn't even, like you'd be like, it's Thursday the 3rd. I'd be like, shit, I wouldn't know. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't understand, because where I came from, you don't make it that long. And I remember my 21st birthday, I was thrown off. I'm like, damn, I'm 21?
Didn't think you'd make it to 21.
Hell no.
Yeah.
I'd already counted on that.
Wait, so what was you talk about failure, what was the biggest mistake you made in the street life?
You know what's crazy? I didn't really make a lot of mistakes in street life because I was so disciplined. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody around me, I learned from their mistakes. I knew that I couldn't, you know, go the other way because I had friends that end up being on the drugs, right? That was scary because now I'm like, how does that happen, right? And I'm trying to figure out how to be mentally strong. So now I got to refrain from everything that I do. And when I say I was drinking, I mean, this is part of my rap career, right? But in my street career, I barely drink or smoke because I was just so focused and so careful and so just forward thinking. Like I would go be with the older guys and tell the older guys, hey, look, you know, they'd be like, yo, because they always knew I had to play. Like I knew who was working, who wasn't. But the whole time it was me working. I just wasn't telling them. I just get their money, you know what I'm saying, go away for a day or two and I already have it. It didn't come back and be like, hey, here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. And that's what I was doing. So I was portraying myself as a middleman, and this is a different part. Like it was all different stages. But this was a different part. And what it was they really couldn't box me in because they didn't know what I was doing. You see what I'm saying? Like nobody really know how my operation was working. So there wasn't nothing that they could do to box me in. So I didn't really run into a lot of situations. There had some things happen before, sure, but I never got into nothing where I felt like it was a mistake, like I did something wrong. I was actually really smart and really, you know, and you know, you know how they say street nigga, like I was a discreet nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't like flamboyant. You know, I had cars, but I would drive my cars but every other week.
But part of what I hear you say, like part of being successful in that life is making sure that a lot of other people don't know what you're doing. You don't know who my connect is. You don't know where I'm selling. You don't know where I'm hiding it or what. So if you don't know, then you can't just
do nothing.
Take me over.
Right. And you gotta still, I mean, but that's just one part of it, but you still gotta be smart because you gotta keep a tab on the people that you do know because you gotta make sure they ain't ran into no problems. And you know, you writing that down. This is like an interrogation. I'm getting nervous.
No.
Like, what did I say?
No.
Make sure.
That was.
Oh yeah, because you know that's like one of my biggest nightmares. It's just like, you know, we got you.
No.
Well, the thing was, I had to learn how to be a Fortune 500 company CEO.
Yes.
Without being a Fortune 500 company CEO.
Yes.
That's what I was basically doing. I was running a tight ship. Nothing that I'm proud about, right? But I was running something that was so solid and ironclad that it wasn't even about getting rich. It was about not going to jail or not getting killed. And that was my biggest priorities. Now, everything inside of that, I was like, okay, I want to be a businessman one day. I want to have a plain Jane watch on, 3-piece suit, plain Jane wedding band, look the part, good skin, manicured nails, the whole thing. How do I get there? Because I'm not going to be able to walk from the streets into a boardroom. So music became the vessel for that because I started to see that this is something that I can possibly do because I started off as a CEO and I signed people and I did all those things and then that fell through and my man was like, yo, you might as well do it because you're the one out here living the life. So then I started to, because I love it so much. I love music. Like I love it. So I just started to invest in myself and really invest in my craft. And then it was like maybe 10 years later, it just popped for me because it was the time and it was everything that's going on in the city. And now I'm in this position where I'm building momentum, right? I pressed up hundreds of thousands of CDs and passed them out free to do the groundwork, right? And now I'm getting on and things are starting to happen and boom, what happens? I lose my voice. I tear my vocal cords. I got polyps my first shows, right? And I'm signed to a major label that doesn't know that my voice is gone. I also don't have insurance, so I have to pay for my surgery with cash. And on top of that, we don't know if I'm gonna sound the same after the fact.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
That happens. I get the surgery. And I'm going to a vocal coach. She got me doing all type of Fa La La stuff. All singing.
Really? You had a vocal coach helping
yeah,
you with
her
that?
name is Jan. Yeah, Mama Jan. She's dope. She's in Atlanta.
How
She's
did
like
she change you as a rapper?
No. She had to help me get my voice back.
Learn how to talk. Yeah.
And so she would have me like singing these little like lines and Fa La 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 La. I'm still remember like I would have to do that for like
and
hours.
that helped you as an MC?
No. That helped me to get my voice back as a man. Because it was gone. I had to my vocal cords had to be sewn back together.
Wow.
Right? Like surgery. So she was trying to help me get my voice back, right? Which I still think my voice is a little more cleaner than it was because my voice was very raspy.
You liked it better before?
Well, not when I was in school because everybody thought it was funny. But when I started to make my rap career, that was the gift. Right? Because I didn't sound like anybody else. So when we did the surgery and started to fix it, my voice was slightly different.
Right.
I can tell when I was recording and I was doing things. Now, mind you, that's happening while I'm finishing Thug Motivation 101, my first debut album, right? So now I'm having to mix Thug Motivation with sign language because I can't talk. You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling the engineer up, down, whatever. So I'm doing that. Get that done. Start to semi-get my voice back. Get hit with Bell's palsy, I think it's called. So half of my face is slanted. My lips were...
Wow.
So that's happening, right?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And then as I'm recovering from that, the studio that I was recording at, shout out to Patchworks, one of the engineers was trying to get on my album and I didn't let him on my album, so he leaked the whole album. So all this is going on at the same time. Mind you, everybody that I love and everybody I'm cool with is getting indicted. So I'm just here like, shit, I'm going to jail. I ain't got no career. This is crazy. All this is happening at the same time. I talk about it in the book. All this is like happening simultaneously. And that's when I say adversity for sale, that's what I mean. Like it was so much.
Well, what are you doing as all this different sorts of adversity, bombs are going off all around? It's not at all clear if I'm going to be able to make it out of all this. What are you thinking and doing that allowed you to deal with the adversity and then move forward through it?
Well, I just knew I couldn't give up, and I knew I had, with Thug Motivation, I knew I had like a great body of work because I put my blood, sweat, and tears into it because I was under the impression that I wasn't going to make it. So I at least wanted that to be heard, right?
You didn't think you were going to make it as a rapper?
No, I didn't think I was going to make it in life. Like I just was expecting the penitentiary or whatever else was happening around me, right? I was prepared for it. And once the record got leaked, the album got leaked 3 months before it was supposed to come out, right? And it was so crazy because I had a crew and we used to ride around. Well, anyway, so the kid leaked the album. I ended up having to do something to him. He does a lawsuit, and that goes on. So now I'm being sued. I didn't even know that can happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, so now I'm like, and it's crazy because Phaedra Parks was his lawyer, which is mind-blowing for me. That was his lawyer when he sued me.
Okay.
Right? And which is crazy. So every time I see it now, I'm just like, but anyway, all this is happening, right? And then the album finally comes out. But we had a crew before the album came out because it got leaked like 3 to 4 months before it came out. We was riding around to all the bootleggers. Like we literally had AK-47s, ski masks, and we're trying to go and take all the records back from the bootleggers. But this is how God works. I'm laying home one day and I'm looking at TV and I see this whole bootleg piracy bust about
DJ Drama.
No, this is before that.
Okay.
And all I see is Thug Motivation 101 CDs, right? And this is after we went through all the bootleggers we could go through, right? And something spectacular happened. it was like, I wasn't gonna put Soul Survivor on the album, not because I didn't like it, because I just thought it was too commercial at the time, and I wanted to save it for the next album. But it happened to be on the bootleg copy. And Def Jam called me, was like, yo, this is gonna be your single. And I'm just like, I don't care what y'all do at this time, as long as y'all not gonna drop me. So Soul Survivor picks up, we shoot the video in Brooklyn. It goes through the roof, right? And it was like this instant just spark. But I didn't realize that all the bootleggers had blown the music up. So I didn't have to pick any records. They already had picked the records for me.
You were already in the street.
Right, I was already in the street. I was already in Detroit. I was already in New York. So now it was just a matter of selling CDs. And the first week I think I came out, I did like 189. The next week I did like 190. It just kept going and going and going. And I just remember like, you know, that was one of the moments I was just sitting there, I was like, man, like, it's just crazy how God worked, man, because that wasn't me. None of that was me. That wasn't my marketing plan. That wasn't me thinking it through. That just happened. And it was like, it was no turning back from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when I first felt like, but I had failed my way all the way up until then, right? So he took the wheel. Now, mind you, I didn't feel success then, because now on 1 foot in, 1 foot out, I got success as far as album sales, but now life is getting real because everything around me is starting to really like happen, right? And I'm in the middle of this. So now what do? I go back to my vices. I go back to my hanging. I go back, I'm not even doing what I'm supposed to do with my son because now I'm caught up, right? And I'm trying to stay in this place of, you know, because 2 days before that, you was Jay. Are you Jeezy? You know what I'm saying? So everybody is expecting that with everything you do, right? And it's like my old life just went away. It was gone. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, it was, at first, it was like, yeah, we did it. And then that's when the fame hit. And then everything went left from that.
Let me ask you something real, because you're being real with us now. You had money from the street.
For sure.
Things are starting to happen. And your marketing and branding was on point from the beginning.
Right.
Right. But we hear a lot about paying radio and other, like, right? So were you guys paying folks to play your records?
Well,
like,
I'm gonna be
at the
honest.
point when you needed it. There was a point when you didn't need that anymore, but
I've never paid anyone, right? But what I did do, and I want to just make sure I'm clear about this, was there were times, like, shout out to DJ Fernando, which was the Magic City DJ and was a good friend of mine. And he actually ended up getting killed in front of his yard, outside of his yard. And it's crazy because he was telling me to watch my back and he ended up getting killed. DJ Fernando was the Monday night DJ at Magic City. And Magic City was like the hub of Atlanta. It's where all the hustlers, all the basketball players, all the football players, anybody that's somebody that's coming through that club. And it's probably 2 times big as this room.
no, Magic City is way smaller than I thought it would be.
For sure.
From hearing about it on Jermaine Records and other, yeah, everybody in Atlanta talks about it.
Yeah.
You go, it's really small.
And the thing is, I used to go there with my older cousins before they went to prison. This was like back in the 90s.
But this is what you're leading to. Magic City and other strip clubs have been a huge place to break records for Southern rappers.
Well, Magic City, DJ Fernando, and those girls single-handedly broke all my music in that one club. Because I knew all the girls because I would go there and I used to tip them or whatever. And then I would go there because I used to be kind of like shy about letting people know that I was trying to rap because the music wasn't good at first. And I left DJ Fernando with this song that was called Over Here featuring Bun B. And he was like, it's cool, I can make it work. And I would come in the club sometimes and he'd be like, yo, G's in the building. You know, I need 20,000. I'm like, all right, cool, I get 20,000 ones, bust it up, throw it up, whatever. Then I came back a couple months later and I walked in and they was dancing to it. He's like, G's in the building, I need 50,000. So I get 50,000, bust it up. So that's how it started going. So the girls would show me love because I'm tipping them. So if you call that paying, whatever. But it was like a show. It was like the best marketing you can ever do because all the who's is in here. So they're gonna go back and be like, yo, I was in the strip club, I seen Jeezy through it. And it got to a point where I would go in there and DJ Fernando would be like, I need 100,000 ones. And they bring it out in the barrel. I'm like, yo, my man, you got chill. But I didn't understand. He was pushing me and pushing me and pushing me until I was just explosive with it. Like it became to the point where I would get on the stage with the girls, throw the money and take the show over. You know what I'm saying? Because that was the move.
But Magic City was a critical place as far as Southern rap.
Well, Magic City is a critical place as far as Southern Street because what I learned about Magic going there as a young kid, well, before music, was that's the office. That's where you go, right? If you a street guy, and let's just say if I didn't know you and me and you was gonna do some business, I'll take you in there. There's some girl in there gonna know you. Or somebody gonna know you and be like, yo, I don't know about that, man. I heard he got jammed up in DC. He might not. It's because it's that. You know what I mean? Everybody know who's the robbers, who's the jackers, who old people, who running off on people.
So the girls become a recommendation. I heard something about him. He's
well, the
cool,
girls
he's
know,
not.
but just you got to think, because if you're a street guy and you're dealing with one of these girls, they pretty much know some of your business or some of your friends. But not only that, the other guys that's in there, they're players from other cities too, so they know things about people that I might not know from DC or I might not know from Alabama. Like it's like a community of, you know, it's like you go to the gym, you know who just went through bankruptcy and, you know what I mean? Like you know what's going on. You know who's doing well, you know that. So it's like, it was that, and I knew that coming out of the streets, but then when I got into music, that same thing worked for me, it worked in my favor because I understood how the club worked. So it was easy for me to go in there and like really bring my music to life. And it was one time I went in there after Trap or Die came out, and Fernando called me. He's like, yo, you got to come up here. And I went up there, and I swear to you, Trap or Die was about hour and 5-10 minutes long. Man, they ran that CD back like 3-4 times the whole time I was there. You talk about 4 hours of people reciting every word, every ad lib, and that's when I knew. I was like, oh, this is different. This is different. This is gonna work.
So part of what folks will come to this book for,
right?
How do I get rich? Because the man got rich in at least 2 to 3 areas.
But that's the thing. I was rich before that.
So I'm saying, you were rich before?
No. What I'm saying is money is a tool.
Right.
I was rich before that. I had a great heart. My grandmother gave me great, faith. You know what I'm saying? My life gave me value and a moral compass, because I'm gonna be honest, like, money is a tool. You can't measure how rich you are with a piece of paper. You can't. You know what I'm saying? And
talk about morals and character.
Yeah, because that's where you rich at. Because even my uncle used to explain to me, like, if you got a Rolls Royce, you got issues, you got problems, you're going to just be a guy in a new Rolls Royce with the same problems. You know what I'm saying? So, like, money is fun to get, and it's fun to have. You know what I'm saying? But if I lost it all tomorrow, I'm still going to be who I am. You feel what I'm saying? And nothing's going to waver that, because what I have inside of me is wealth. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like I've had some luck in some areas and it was able to do some things that most people would consider success. But what I lost to get there, you have to really ask yourself, like, was it worth it? You know what I'm saying?
Wait, what do you mean? What did you lose? What do you mean?
I mean, all the lives that were lost, all the friends that were lost, all the things that happened that gave you real trauma, the reason why you didn't trust, the reason why you didn't love. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom's gone. Like, half of the reason why I wasn't close to her was because I thought I was going to prison, so I was trying to distance myself. Just imagine all that time that was lost. You know what I'm saying? It's like you gotta really ask yourself what's worth it, right? And even now, as I'm going around doing this book tour, I mean, a lot of people might feel like you out here promoting a book, but that's not the case. I'm out here promoting a chance. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here promoting an opportunity, right? I'm out here promoting. I'm saying, look, man, I mean, you can take the book away. It doesn't matter. We had the same conversation. I'm saying, look, you know, you got to live your life. You know what I'm saying? You got to believe in who and what you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Like they said, when you're born, you look like your daddy. When you die, you look like your decisions. You see what I'm saying? So it's almost like, you know, who you want to be.
I respect the conversation about your character
Right.
and the spiritual wealth that you're talking about.
Right.
I respect that.
Right.
There's also a lot of people listening and be like, yeah, but can you tell me how to get rich?
Right.
Because you know about that as well, how to stack and create that tool.
Right.
So can you talk about that?
I would say you have to do something you love, right? Because even if you do something you don't love, you're just making money, and it's going to burn out. And once you do something you love, you got to find things that align with your purpose and invest in those things. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to want to do those when you're done doing what you love, and that's going to have to set you up. And you know, if I ask you right now, who's your biggest who your biggest employee? I'm asking you.
My biggest employee?
Yeah, who's your best employee? Your biggest employee?
Who's my best employee?
Yeah, or biggest employee?
I don't know. I mean, my business, I don't really have employees.
Okay, but what would you say if I asked you?
I don't know.
Would you say you?
Okay.
You?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, well, if I can be included, then for sure
Absolutely.
me.
I can be included.
Okay.
But that's where you're wrong.
Okay.
Your biggest employee is your money.
You're right. Your money has to work for you.
But he's your biggest employee.
Yes.
So if your money's not working for you, you got to fire it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just
right.
same
When you get
sense.
your paycheck, you pay yourself first.
It's not even that. I'm saying that if you have any money, no matter what it is, that's your biggest employee. If it's not working for you, you have to fire it.
The capital must be invested.
It has to be invested. And I know it sounds, easier said than done, but, that's about the part where I say in the book about the sacrifices. Like, you got to be willing to make those sacrifices. You know what I'm saying? Because, even if you take these social influencers out here, they basically capitalizing off of algorithms, right?
Sure.
But you're going to be burnt out before the algorithms are. So if you're not taking that and investing it, you setting yourself up to crash. And it's just like rap.
You're talking about make your businesses better, real estate, stock
I'm saying
market.
whatever's in line with your purpose. My purpose is I grew up in a 2-bedroom trailer that's not bigger than this room. So that aligns with my purpose to own some dirt. Because none of my family ever owned no dirt, right? That aligns with my purpose. Now, can you make money there? Absolutely. But the fact that we own some dirt and you can't take that away, that's all I care about. The money to be made is all good, right? And if I can go back to my community and buy 50, 60 houses, whatever, and refurbish them and put them back on the marketplace so people have a place to stay, now I'm helping my community. That's in line with my purpose, right? If I go out here and I do, a corporate deal that allows my team to become involved and then for them to meet their goals by what we're building, that aligns with my purpose, right? It's when you start doing things for the money that don't align with your purpose is where it get tricky.
Can you talk about your real estate strategy?
My real estate strategy is, basically buying cash flowing assets.
Right.
Multifamily, some commercial.
Which do you prefer, commercial or residential?
I do a little bit of both. I mean, ever since the pandemic, the commercial's been kind of tricky because a lot of people don't need those type of spaces because they can work from home.
That's right.
So that's a little tricky. Multifamily, of course, but the biggest players in the developing, you know what I'm saying? That's when it gets right because you can raise money and put plays together that, that are bigger than, you could do on your own. But I will say this though, I mean, even if it's what aligns with your purpose, right? Because like stocks is not my purpose. Like when people came with Bitcoin, that don't align with my purpose. Like I can't understand this money on a computer that can fluctuate. First of all, I got enough undue stress as it is. I don't want to look at my phone and flip the fuck out because I just lost 300,000. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you feel me? Like, that don't align with my purpose because I want to live a stress-free life. You know what I'm saying?
That's the purpose.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you need money to survive, you know, whatever, bro. Like, we all want to have it, you know what I'm saying? But you want to be happy by having it because most of the people I know that was give money are not happy people.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And they don't really have people around them they can trust. So it's like, I try not to lean on that. I try to lean on the purpose. Like, you know, and if you find something in your purpose that you can, like you look at Oprah, that's her purpose. She's a great communicator.
Yeah.
She just happened to make a lot of money doing what she's doing. You
Yeah.
look at TD Jakes, same thing. You look at the Magic Johnson, he's a better businessman than he is basketball player, if you ask me.
That's saying a lot, too.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you look at Shaq, it's the same thing. So it's just like they're aligning themselves with their purpose. And if you watch Shaq, the way he moves, he's always giving back. He's always doing something. He's always doing something that shows his character and who he is as a person.
A lot of rappers have said the rap game is just like the crack game. That's like a...
No, let me correct you on that.
No.
The rap game is the crack game.
What do you mean?
Because it's the streets. There's no more streets. There's nobody standing on the corner selling nothing no more. Like, people are jumping into this because it's a hustle. You can tell the difference between hustle and art. You look at somebody like a J. Cole, you know that's art.
Right.
You look at somebody who just coming off the street like Lil such and such, he trying to figure it out. It's a hustle.
When you were on the street, you were the man, right?
There were other men.
No, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
But you said you were in the middle, right?
No, what I was saying was that I was positioning myself so at a certain point so that I can no longer have to do the small stuff.
Right.
And getting in the middle so that I can get these guys together and capitalize off what they got going.
When you're a rapper, what is that? That's not the top guy. Like
Right.
if you're the distributor, you're the top guy.
Right.
If you're a rapper, it's not the same as being a distributor.
Well,
right?
it
You're
is
lower on
because-
the
No, not necessarily because you got some of these guys that go out here and they just good at getting talent. And then their talent becomes bigger than them. And they become this entity that's now has, you know, you take a DJ Drama, he's a DJ.
Yeah.
Probably has one of the biggest labels in the game
Yeah.
right now. But
Well,
3 years ago,
he's a label head now.
but what I'm saying, but 3 years ago he was a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? That's the difference. That's how you become that guy in that. Like you go from being a DJ to being a label head because you're using your expertise of knowing records to pick these artists, and now you're building this thing that's bigger than DJing.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like same thing in the streets. It's like if you're a hustler and you're doing this and you make these contacts, you set yourself up so now that you're serving the hustlers instead of the people who are using this for recreational use. You know what I'm saying?
What did you take from the street that you were able to take forward in other businesses that help you?
Everything. Because the way I'm able to articulate myself, the way I'm able to remain calm in situations where people will flip out in, the way that when there's chaos is the calmest time for me. Because it's almost like being at war. Like you like the Navy SEALs are Navy SEALs for a reason.
Yeah.
They don't fold under pressure.
Yeah.
Right? I don't fold under pressure. Like I'm actually more clear. I have more clarity because I understand, okay, this is the problem. How do I either diffuse this or work my way around it?
And you don't get emotional about these situations.
And that's the thing. See, that's what came from, that's what I'm working on because you come from the streets, you rarely have emotion, or you're not in a place where you can actually openly feel them. They're there.
But you got to be shut down.
You got to be shut down. So what I'm saying is when you go over, and it's a thing like that, and I talk about it in the book, a lot of that served me then. It doesn't serve me now.
To be cold.
Right. Because it served me then. That's what kept me, you know.
You're very emotionally consistent and
Right.
calm as far as a rapper.
Right.
I think about T.I. and Jay-Z, who have a
Right.
similar life path,
Right.
right? And I think they have a little bit more, they're going to get hype, they're going to get a
Right.
set, whatever. And I'm like, Jeezy emotionally
Right.
is always right in that same
Right.
calm,
Right.
chill register.
Because that's where I'm strongest at.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? And coming from where I'm coming from, you can't, like, I never forget I had this manager back in the day. He was like, man, you know, sometimes you gotta smile, man. I said, well, what you mean by that? He's like, cause this is gonna be over someday. And you never smile. And, you know, up until about 4 years ago, I didn't even think you're supposed to smile in public.
You thought you weren't supposed to smile.
Yeah,
because that's what you learn on the street. We can't let anybody
because
see where...
if you smiling and you too chipper, and like you're inviting a energy you don't want, right? And how does a pit bull keep you from, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
How does a lion keep you from,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't up until a couple of years ago I really realized that you can like really sit around these people and joke. Cause it's like, if we had this conversation 3 years ago, 4 years ago, well, I say 4 years ago, it probably been 3 words. You'd been like, yep. I'd be like, yep. And you'd have been like, so what happened there? I was like, you know, whatever happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it really was because, again, but then when I started to not to jump off subject, what I started to notice was, this is the thing that changed it for me. Like, when you're in the streets and you do things and, you know, years go by, you might see somebody, they might not be doing as well, you know, as you or whatever, and that's just life, right? When I got in the music game, a lot of the things I did in the beginning is because I treated it like the streets. I didn't realize I was gonna be around these people 10, 15 years later.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the stuff that I was doing was based off of one op of seeing you, right? I'm not knowing that me and Jay-Z gonna be cool 15 years later. I'm not knowing that me and this person gonna be cool 15 years later. So I wasn't planning on building relationships. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
I always had my wall up, right? So nobody really knew me, just like I didn't really know nobody else. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, well, I'm gonna get to know. But over time, you know, when that wall started coming out, you get to start knowing people like, damn, man, they dope. They cool.
When did you realize, I might be here in this life for a while?
When I wrote The Recession.
So how old are you then?
I know that was 08. I don't know. I don't remember how old I was, 08. But anyway, when I wrote, up until The Recession, I was spiraling out of control. I was going through a lot of survivor's remorse. I was drinking heavily. I just wasn't doing good. I was 260 pounds. You know what I'm saying?
You're mad thin now.
Yeah, I was Waffle House and Cristal. That was it. That was my diet. You know, I wasn't drinking water at all. Like, I wasn't drinking water. Like, I was like, I'm not, you know. And up until The Recession, I just woke up one day and just realized, I was like, damn, you know what? I'm free, I'm still alive, and I got a career.
An above ground career.
And everything started to shift a little bit. Like, it was like, it started to be light. It was dark, very dark. And it just started to be like little glimmers of light. And I started to research a lot of things about the world. And this is when Obama was running. And I just started to see things differently. And then, and what happened was, as I started to see things differently, a lot of the people that were around, I don't really think they felt that. So little by little, like, people just started to go their own separate way. And then one day I I was sitting in my dressing room, I was by myself. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm listening to old school music. I'm like, my mom used to play this, like, I'm in a good space. I'm just happy. I remember going up to Def Jam, like, smiling, laughing. Everybody's like, what's going on with him? Like, is he okay? You know what I'm saying?
Love that he's smiling. You're like, is he
Like,
okay?
what's up with your man? Because the whole thing was, and this was gonna trip you out. The whole thing was, I was depressed. But I didn't know I was depressed. You see what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know that you can fall into depression. I'm thinking it's a one-day thing. You feel bad? And I just remember every day I woke up, I just felt bad. I just felt bad. But I didn't know what mental health was then. I didn't know that anxiety was a thing. I just thought that something was wrong with me. And as I started to get an understanding of what was going on, I started to get a grip on it. You know what I'm saying? I started asking questions. I started to, research things because I didn't know what I was going through. I couldn't explain How is somebody who doesn't have any emotions explain to you what they're feeling? You know what I'm saying?
Are you in therapy?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
For how long?
For a couple years now.
And it's helped.
Oh yeah, man. Like that's it.
Because you talk with an awareness of somebody who's been to therapy.
But I was my own therapist for a while. Just so we know.
But it's crazy to realize, oh, I am depressed, and
Yes.
I've been depressed,
Yes.
and I didn't even know
I
that
was depressed.
because this was my normal every day.
You don't have the wording for it, right? And that's why I'm pushing it. Because as a black man, like you just think it's me against the world. I got to figure it out. I got all this pressure on me. Nobody cares. I'm losing homeboys.
We
This is
don't talk
going on.
about our feelings.
No, and it was crazy because now I have to be honest with you. And that's why I love the concept of only quality people. Like my friends now, like my peers now, that the people I deal with, I love them because you know what it is. We are a village, and we look out for each other. And we have these conversations. Like we might just sit down, smoke a cigar, and just check in. What's up? What's going on? What you got going? And have real conversations as black men about life, right? And what we want to do and what we're trying to do and what's holding us back and what we're dealing with and what's this and the other. And to me, I've never had that, right? So what do you do as a black man who's going through something? You isolate yourself, right? And you read that in the 48 Laws of Power. The last thing you want to do is lock yourself in your fortress. You know what I'm saying? Because now you isolating yourself, and that's when you're weakest. Mind you, I had them isolating myself for a 10-year period. You know what I'm saying? I'm in my own world, and I'm thinking I'm winning, but I'm not. And that's what it was. Like I didn't have the tools, and I'm not ashamed to say that because if you look at me nowadays, of course my heart is the same. A lion is a lion, bro. You could take him out and put him in the Brooklyn Zoo. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I am who I am, but am I in a better place, and do I understand my purpose more? 1,000%. And am I striving in a different way? 1,000%. And am I doing things because I want to help people? 1,000%. Because we ain't tripping, the money already made. You feel what I'm saying? Like this is about people. This is about us. This is about the young guy who's out there who's 2 pages away from changing his whole life. You know what I'm saying? Like just needs to understand that it's okay, because I didn't know it was okay until I sat down with some people that let me know that it's okay, right? It's okay not to be okay. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to want to evolve. It's okay to want to understand what's going on with you. Now, mind you, for 30-some odd years, I thought something was wrong. I thought it was like anxiety was like, you feel what I'm saying? Like I thought something was wrong. But I'm not knowing that this is something that a lot of people experience, and there's ways to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, even like sitting down, having some minutes to yourself. I'm a great thinker, but when somebody introduced me to meditation, it changed my life.
Wow.
You know what I'm
meditate
saying?
every day?
Every day.
How long?
Sometimes 30, sometimes an hour.
Really?
Every day.
And it's changed. How's that changed your life?
Clarity. I'm leading people. I run a company. Like I gotta have clarity. I'm making decisions that are gonna affect people's lives, their children's lives, their livelihood, right? And then at the same time, I'm leading men. I'm out here and I'm pushing the cause. And it's just like the one thing I can say about karma, that I say karma is real. When I wasn't in my right mind, I was leading people off a cliff. I had to pay for that. I had to pay for that. Oh, it was a time in my life I was losing. When I say losing, I mean losing. When I say losing, like you wouldn't believe. I prayed every day, like just please punish me for how long you want to punish me. But when you let me back out of this, I'm gonna be the way I'm supposed to be. And that's the deal I made. And that's why I've been the same way ever since.
Yo, man, I could talk to you all day,
Yeah.
man. I appreciate, you coming in and open up your heart and
And I appreciate
it real.
you. And like I say, I'm not here to sell a book, right? That's just some fun. I mean, just my message and my words, I hope they reach, teach, and inspire, because it's a thing to be out here and be who we are and what we from, and think that you're alone and you're the only person that's going through that.
Mm-hmm.
And they got to know that that's not true. That's not true, and that's why I'm in.
Thanks so much to Jeezy for a great interview, and thanks to you for listening. Touré Show gives you fuel to power your dreams, because you can use your dreams like a rocket ship to blast you into a life you never imagined. You can make your dreams a reality, and maybe this show can help. You can find me on Instagram at Touré Show and on Spill at Touré. Toure Show is written by me, Touré, and produced by Jennifer Brown. Our editors, Ryan Woodhall. Our bookers, Claudia Jean, and we're distributed by DCP Entertainment. And we will be back on Wednesday with more amazing guests because the man can't shut us down.